ran in 2020 against Henry Cuellar, and we stared him. We did a lot of damage with not a lot of funds and not a lot of support. People didn't believe that South Texas was Republican. And I said, well, it's because they're not. They're conservative. They don't know they're Republican yet, but we have to take time, and we've got to spend time in South Texas. And one of the very first people that I met was Terry Harper. And I walked up to him one night at a meeting, and I looked at him and I said, Terry, we got to talk. And he goes, okay. And I said, I can't take this anymore. I said, you know, my family's gone without a paycheck for about 6 weeks now. And I said, where are the Republicans? Nobody's standing up. This is where all the Republicans are supposed to be. We have a whole room full of people, and who's doing something about this? Terry kind of looks around, and he looks at me, and he kind of smirks, and he goes, nobody. And I said, why? He said, that's a good question. And I said, well, we can't just sit around and do nothing. We got to do something. What are we going to lose? So I looked at him, and we shared a couple of little stories and, kind of some thoughts on the matter. And finally, he looks at me with kind of this smirk, like, I have a feeling I know where this is going. And I said, Terry, I'm going to say something. This is the moment that you told me I've lost my mind. And he goes, okay. And I said, I think I need to run for Congress. And he goes, good, let's go meet some people. And I said, you don't think I'm crazy? He goes, oh, absolutely, you're crazy. Nobody does this willingly, but let's go make something happen. And so we did. I've been a resident of South Texas for 12 years now. And the one thing that I kept saying over and over and over again was how conservative people were, but that the Republican Party had abandoned them. They just didn't show up. Terry was the only one that was faithfully showing up. Webb County didn't have a party to speak of 2 years ago. Now it's bursting at the seams. Zapata County didn't have a party at all until a month and a half ago. Now they're bursting at the seams. Down here, look at this. This is amazing. Ross, I know when you and I met 2 years ago, there was almost no people here. Let me give you some numbers that were not on here really quick. In 2016, the Republican that ran against Henry Cuellar garnered 1,326 votes. Last year, I garnered 3,958. That's an increase of 2,604. Now, when you look at those numbers, that's astronomical. But let me tell you why. It has nothing to do, no offense, Terry, with the Republican Party of Texas. It had nothing to do with the RNC. Nothing. It had 100% to do with every single person that's sitting in this room, every single person that has watched my hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all online, or that y'all shared that with. Because what we did is we started seeing that, oh my gosh, we really are conservatives. Wait a minute, he really is flip-flopping on things. We did more with $25,000 than any federal candidate in the history of forever has ever done. It's a fact. Congressman Cuellar and the Democrats spent over $6 million to try and beat us down. And I still took 41% of the vote. Yeah. Thank you. But it's not anything that I did. I didn't come down with some magical formula from Austin or from DC or from Houston or Dallas. I came down and said, I'm a member of this community. I raised my family here. I live here. I see what people are going through every single day. And the worst part about it was I saw that nobody was willing to stand up because, well, they told us that we couldn't. Then we made it past primaries, and immediately, as soon as primaries were over, we had this wonderful thing called COVID-19 happen, and it shut everything down. Even here in Starr County and Webb County and the counties all along the border, they're still trying to keep us suppressed. I got a phone call today from one of my very most bestest friends. Her kids all call me Aunt. And she said, sis, we got a problem. And I said, what's going on? And she goes, didn't the governor kind of do a thing like where they can't make them wear masks and they can't force them to get the COVID-19 shot? And I said, yes. And she goes, we got a phone call from the high school's band saying that our daughter couldn't compete anymore and couldn't be in band if we refused to get her the shot. They're still using fear and intimidation because people are afraid to stand up. I walked into my son's high school the last week of school, and he's a junior now. I walked into his high school, and it was after the governor signed the order. And I walked in with no mask, and the security guard stopped me. He goes, ma'am, you need to stop. You need a mask on. I said, actually, I don't. I don't know if you know what the governor did this week, but I'm actually okay now. And he goes, no, I don't care what the governor did. He goes, that's not effective until June 4th. I said, actually, he can fine you now on June 4th. I said, so if you'd like, I'll come back on June 4th and I'll start making sure I have names and numbers. They're not used to people standing up and going against the grain, and it's not anything magical that we're doing here. We're just being Americans. We're standing bold for something. What we saw with the Trump trains, we probably had more Trump trains in District 28 than we did all over the entire state of Texas. Wow. Our Trump trains made national and global news. Guess who started those? We the people. Nobody made a phone call and said, hey, we need somebody to start a Trump train because we need some. No. People right here, the True Texas Patriots started them here in McAllen, the RGB Trump train. And then they just started spreading like wildfire all over from Brownsville all the way up to Laredo and all the way up. I mean, all over the state of Texas they were doing it. And it brought people out, and it brought people together. It brought people something to believe in. One of my favorite memories of running in 2020 was, it was still 2020. We had gone to the Rattlesnake Festival. And I was there with Terry Harper and Walter, and some of his guests came. I think Doc Alma was there, and we were all at the Duval County festival tent. We're handing out Trump paraphernalia and Republican Party information, and people would walk past. We're voting for Donald Trump. We were like, what? We're voting for Donald Trump. We're like, why are you whispering? They're like, oh, we can't tell anybody. Well, we said, well, why not? Oh, we could get kicked out of our families. And I was like, oh man, that's because of how you're voting? Wow. Wow. So we had to really encourage one another and get them to understand that it's okay to be different. I told a group of young adults, I said, how many of you guys did every single thing that your parents told you to? I mean, like, to the letter. You never snuck out of your house. You never cheated on a test. Like, I mean, you did everything that your parents told you to do. And what do you think they all said? So, wait a minute. So now you're afraid to vote for what you believe in? What you honest to God believe in? Because you might upset your parents? Are they standing next to you in the voting box? No? Oh. Now we have something that we can come together on. When we started encouraging people and equipping people and giving them the confidence they needed and letting them know that their vote mattered. And let me tell you what, if you don't think that your vote mattered even still in 2020, you're not looking at the numbers. Because whether you believe in the Sidney Powell theory or not, whether you believe in a fair and honest election happened in 2020 in the state of Texas or not, these numbers are still radical numbers. Starr County came within 5% for President Trump. I get to go around the state and say that all the time. I get to go on national news and say that all the time. That we, the people of Starr County, said we don't want the same stuff anymore. We want something different. And I am so honored that I got to carry that banner and help encourage that. I never take credit for it because I didn't do it. Y'all did it. And that's the cool thing. We're starting to flip that narrative. And what's really fun is that now we're seeing a whole new light of Republicans coming out. We had these fun signs made up, and they were just my regular yard signs, but we had Democrats for on top. We thought, well, let's see what happens, because we had lots of people say, I hate Henry Cuellar. I'm a huge Democrat, but I'm voting for you just because I hate Henry Cuellar. People were messaging us on election day, hey, we voted for Biden and for you. And I'm like, thanks? They're like, we hate Cuellar that much. Okay, well, we'll take it. We can't give those away anymore because nobody wants them. Do you know why? Because they said, we're not Democrats anymore. Don't you call me a Democrat. I'm a proud Republican now. We have people here in Starr County, Zapata County is exploding, Webb County, we have this new group, they're called the Rio Grande Conservatives. And these are all kids, I say kids, these are all people who are really under the age of 40, between 40 and 18 and 40. It has exploded. There's about 40 members of this club now. And they are on fire. They're out block walking already. They found out that Bobby O'Rourke was in Laredo trying to campaign for governor. Y'all can laugh, it's okay. But he's really coming for us. They said, no, we worked too hard in 2020 with our vote. We're not afraid of COVID-19 anymore. We're going to get out there and we're going to bust our butts because South Texas is now red. The numbers are coming so close, it's not even funny. Laredo, for example, was the #1 city under 500,000 that came the closest for President Trump without flipping for it. That's global news, not just national or state news. That's why the Republican Party of Texas brought their first quarter meeting to Laredo, because of the hard work and the efforts of the grassroots. They're seeing the value of the people. They're seeing that they can't come down here with their Austin politics anymore, but they actually have to listen to the people that are here, because we, the people, are the ones that are making the difference. On this very last page, and Ross talked about it, and so did Terry, these are the candidates that you guys need to fill here in Starr County. And let me tell you the power of a stacked election. When you have other people to stand up with you, when we would come down here in Atascosa County, and we shared another one too, Miss Marion. What was our other county? Starr, Atascosa.
Was it LaSalle?
Yes, in LaSalle. We could go on a stage together and be like, hey, I'm running for this office and this is what I do and this is how we get to work together. Wow. People were shocked. We did the same thing with Frank Pomeroy. It was so amazing because people were like, wait, there's more than one of you. Yeah, there's more than one of us. And guess what we proved? Now, my race specifically, there was almost 92,000 people who stood up and said, I want to change for Congress. We cannot keep voting the same way. And now Congressman Cuellar is going all over the nation going, did y'all know that we have a crisis on our southern border? Wait, what? How did you not know? Because you've been an elected official for almost 40 years. Y'all see it every single day. I brought news, the national news, they were going to go do a story in McAllen. And somebody gave them our number and I said, just spend 2 days with me in my district. Just 2 days. And I brought them right here to Starr County. And we spent a day in Roma, and we spent a day here. And they were shocked. They were like, the people are so nice down here. We had no idea. But the part that was the most fascinating to them was what was happening on our river. And they said, how did nobody know this was going on? This is clear that this has not just been happening. And I said, welcome to our Rio Grande reality. But guess what? This is not all that defines us, is this border crisis. The very next thing out of my mouth, or half the time, so what we did is we'd start first thing in the morning. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but it's kind of hot here during the day. Strange. So we would spend first thing in the morning, and then we'd come back towards dusk, right about this time frame. But in between, we'd hit up restaurants. I'd take them to Fort Ringgold, and we'd go up and down. I'd show them all of these really cool houses and all the neat stories that Ross is like ingrained into me, and anybody who knows me for 5 minutes knows I'm a huge history buff. And they're going around going, why does nobody know this is here? This is like a jewel down here. And I'm like, I know. I can't wait to see her explode. But then I have groups from North Texas that go, we really want to come down there, but gosh, it's really dangerous. And I'm like, literally drive down there all the time by myself. Actually, go to the river by myself. I can't tell you the number of times that I've had the cartel go like this. And I'm like, see you too. You ain't the only one packing. 2-way on the way, baby. This is the reality. We don't live in fear down here anymore. We're not afraid of the cartel. We're not afraid of the politicaros. And we're not afraid of the power of our vote. Because that's what's going to change America, and that's what's going to change Texas. And in 2022, they have no idea what's about to hit them because they woke a sleeping giant in 2020. This has nothing to do with Donald Trump as a person. It has to do with the movement and the power and the faith that he gave all of us to now take and go forth. Because now we're activated, now we're ready to go, and now we're seeing the Democrats expose themselves every single day. I have a good friend up in Montgomery County, And he's a huge political activist, and he says all the time, I upset the Democrats on both sides of the aisles. I need you guys to hear that just one more time so you can think about it.
I heard
it. He's like, amen, amen. Here's our Baptist. That's the whole thing. That's what I need you to do. Because we're not just fighting a Democrat establishment. If you followed me at all, Sandra for Texas, sandrafortexas.com. If you follow me at all, you know that I've been talking about the establishment is on both sides of the aisle. And you want to know how clear-cut this is? I fight Republicans every single day. I just fought one yesterday. One that makes more money than all of us combined in a minute. And he didn't like it at the end of it. In fact, he was told to sit down, and I got a standing ovation. I said, thank you. I said, we can't afford to do politics as usual anymore. We can't have you keep coming down here telling us how to run our elections because we know what's best for us. The dollars and cents that he was saying from his PAC, one that he tried to tell me that, oh, we tried to come into South Texas. No, you didn't, because I can give you names and dates. In fact, I actually said Marion's name. I said, she asked for help, and y'all told her no. Their breakdown was over $300 a vote. Did we see any of that money here? Nope. We didn't see it anywhere in District 28. But guess who he started talking about? He started talking about John Cornyn. He started talking about King Abbott, whether you love him or hate him, and the $6 million that they give Governor Abbott just to keep in his reserves, just for fun. But not one penny was spent down here, not one. Out of $60 million, not $1 was spent in South Texas. And I said, you know, it's hard for Republicans to make a name for themselves when you have the establishment coming down the day before Election Day saying Democrats' names. Because when John Cornyn came to Laredo, Texas, and told a whole crowd of Republicans about my dear friend Henry Cuellar, and everybody else just was like, he's a good guy. Guess what? They kept control in the House. Ask me what your vice president's doing right now, aside from making a mockery out of our entire country. Ask me what your president is doing right now, aside from making a mockery out of the entire country. Ask me what your Speaker of the House is doing. Ask me what your establishment, Kevin McCarthy, was doing during election season when we had seats that were flippable and they wouldn't touch them. Because that's what your establishment is doing. So don't always listen to the establishment, because I'm going to tell you right now, I just listened to somebody who makes, like I said, more money in 1 minute than we could all probably do combined, tell us he's been doing this for 28 years. He didn't need our opinion on how things needed to be done. To which we responded, that's why you haven't won any new elections, you just have red seats. That's not good enough for South Texas. We demand changes, and it's going to start with you guys getting activated and motivated. And I am so excited that I get to be a part of this fight with South Texas and for Starr County, because we're doing fantastic things and setting the world on fire. Keep being trailblazers, because that's what we need into 2022. Fill this out. Don't be afraid. You are not alone. I promise you, I will come down here and campaign with you. I will come down here and I will help you do whatever you need to do. But where we go one, we go all. Because we are all in this together as the Republicans and the grassroots movement. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.